This morning, President Trump lashing out once again at his Attorney General, Jeff Sessions, before heading to North Carolina to survey the damage from Hurricane Florence. Earlier, he told The Hill, quote, "I don't have an Attorney General."
I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for numerous reasons, but we have an Attorney General. I'm disappointed in the Attorney General for many reasons, and you understand that.
Joining me now, Chris Cillizza, CNN politics reporter and editor-at-large, Nia Malika Henderson, CNN senior political reporter, and Asha Rangappa, CNN legal and national security analyst. So, Chris, it's a new day, but sort of the same old story for the president. I guess the question this morning is why now? Why is he back on Jeff Sessions? Is this yet another push to try to get him to quit?
I don't know any other reason why he would do this now, Erica. I'm not a subscriber to the Donald Trump is always playing eight-dimensional chess theory of his sort of outbursts and statements. I think he just says stuff, whether in an interview, a tweet, he sort of says what comes to mind. What I'm more fascinated by is why he won't fire Jeff Sessions. This is a guy who made his name and his fame by saying you're fired to people. He's had a lot of turnover in his cabinet. It's not those things. I think it's probably resistance among senators, Sessions' ex-colleagues, concerns about confirming the next Attorney General, which would be a total nightmare, potentially making it look like he's done something wrong in the Russia investigation when he believes he hasn't. But he's obviously continuing to try to get Jeff Sessions to quit. This is not new. Jeff Sessions, to date, has refused to take that bait. He's willing to sort of take what Trump throws at him, just continue to go to work. My guess is it will be more of the same.
So we should buckle up and get ready. In other news, we've got a lot to get to on this Wednesday. When it comes to Brett Kavanaugh, so Asha, what we've been hearing, we heard the president even weighing in this morning. He doesn't think that there needs to be an FBI investigation in this case, talking about there had been 6 investigations. I think the president may have been referring to the 6 background checks that we know of that have been done on Brett Kavanaugh. First, just do us a favor. The difference between an FBI investigation and a background check by the FBI, Asha.
Right. So an FBI investigation on a violation of criminal law, if they get evidence in their possession that someone might have violated federal law, or there's a threat to national security, they can initiate an investigation into that. When they're doing background checks, that's not what they're doing. Background checks are there to look at a person's suitability for a position of public trust, to uncover information on a variety of different criteria, including character and reputation and loyalty and, drug abuse. They interview many people. They compile that into a dossier, if you will, and they give it to either the agency that's making the clearance or, in this case, with appointees to the White House to determine what to do with it. So, there's this allegation at its core is not a violation of federal law. So it wouldn't launch a federal investigation. It would require reopening the background check, and given that it's complete, and also because it alleges something when Judge Kavanaugh was 17, which is beyond the scope of what they normally ask people about. They go back to 18 or beyond. The president would need to request the FBI to look further into the leads and investigate it further to get more information.
And real quickly, just to pick up on what you said, because this, from what we know, did not violate a federal crime, in your estimation, there isn't anything that the FBI would traditionally investigate here, despite the fact that Christine Blasey Ford is calling for an FBI investigation. Did I understand that correctly?
That's right. They wouldn't initiate a criminal investigation. They may have passed this on to the Maryland Attorney General or to the appropriate state law enforcement, for example. They may disseminate relevant information, but they are not going to launch a criminal investigation on their own.
Nia, when we look at this, it should not be political in terms of a discussion. It is. There is no getting around this. And we're seeing some politics from both sides. It's also a gamble in some ways on both sides. How do you see this playing out, especially with the midterm elections looming?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. Political on both sides. For Republicans, this would be the culmination of a real dream to get Kavanaugh on the Supreme Court. And if Democrats were able to block it, slow walk it, and prevent it from happening, that would also be a dream as well. I think when you look at the kind of specter of this woman, Professor Ford, and the way Republicans have approached her so far, I think they probably have a bigger gamble at this point. There's little political upside to what they're doing so far. There's little political upside probably to a hearing. If you think about the sort of tableau of those all men questioning this woman before the country, Professor Ford, about these allegations, just the optics of that, I think would be very damaging to them. And in some ways, you can sort of tell that they don't really want that. I mean, this sort of idea that it has to be Monday or never, and this is something they decided without even really talking to her, and they're expecting that she's going to agree to this forum, the guidelines of which aren't even set in stone. One idea is, for instance, that there'll be outside counsel, their attorneys questioning her. So all of this, I think, they are actually betting most likely that she doesn't show up. And if she doesn't show up, they're saying at this point that they would just go ahead with the votes, which again, I think would be very a big political risk, a big political gamble for them, given where they are with suburban white women. If you look at all of these polls, this is where they are bleeding support. You look at the polls in Arizona, you look at the polls in Tennessee, where 2 Republican women are running. They are 20 points behind with women in terms of how they're doing versus their Democratic candidates. So this is a big risk for Republicans. But obviously, the big kind of holy grail that they could get at the end would be Kavanaugh on the court. And at this point, they're willing to risk that basically because they know they would at least please their base.
Nia, Malika, Asha, Chris, appreciate it. Thank you all.
Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.